Check, check. Hey there, everyone. This is producer Molly, and I just got done editing the top 10 of the year podcast, which is going to be coming out in two parts. So this first part you're going to see is part one. It's movies 10 through 6, and we've got some good ones for you. We've got some interesting debate as well to accompany all of those interesting choices of movies. This one was a fun one to record. We just kind of got obsessed with the movies we were talking about, and I think it really speaks to some of the quality movies that were out this year, some of the quality blockbusters that were out. There was lots to debate, and now that the Oscar nominations are out, there's even more to debate, so you can look forward to some of that coming. Also, you're listening to part one of the top 10. If you would like to hear the rest of this, go check out our YouTube channel where we have released part 2 already. Otherwise, you'll have to wait until next week to hear our beautiful voices again. So I guess what I want to say here is just enjoy our top 10. Let us know what your top 10 is. Either leave us a review on iTunes and tell us what your top 10 is. Shout us out on Twitter. Our handles are at the end of the episode, so go ahead, any of those handles, and let us know what you think, what you agree with, what you disagree with. Tell us what you thought of The Crimes of Grindelwald and Fantastic Beasts, because let me tell you, that has torn apart friendships here on the podcast. So thank you so much for listening, and enjoy the first part of the top 10.
And welcome everyone to the newest episode of Better in 3D. I'm your host, Matthew James Grenier. And with today is a special day. We're doing our top 10 of the year. Actually, our top 10 favorites. I got two really insightful and intelligent co-hosts today. We got producer Molly. How are you doing over there?
I'm good, except you're lying about me, but...
Oh, I find that you're very intelligent. Or at the very least, you can fake it really well.
I fake it really well.
Then
that's the key here.
That's fine. As long as the audience doesn't know that you're a dum-dum. Like, as long as you can pull it off.
That's true. That's very true. There's inherent talent in being able to pull off being intelligent.
I mean, reality is the perception of what's going on, not actually what it is.
Oh, that was meta. Ooh.
We're getting deep.
And if I'm going to go intelligent, I'm bringing Dr. Joe in. Dr. Joseph H. Weber is here in the house today. How you doing, Joe?
Oh, good. Yeah.
I love the only time I refer to you as a doctor is on the podcast.
Yeah.
The rest of the time it's just like hey you.
I'm a pharmacist, so we don't usually go by our doctor title.
You should. I mean.
Well, I don't know. You don't want to confuse us with physicians, so.
No, I would never confuse you for a physician.
Just say like Joe Man. No.
Joe Man. We're doing a little recap of the best of 2018. So for everyone at home, we are going to just do our 10 favorite movies of the year, not the best movies, because that's like the award season. Because we are in quotations. You can't see the air quotes I'm saying we're doing right now. We are movie critics, so we know that there are some movies that are just technically better, but these are just the movies that we loved. But first of all, if you're also new to this, and we are what's called a drinking movie podcast, and because we are a drinking movie podcast, we're a bunch of people with below intelligence but superior livers. Joseph, what are you drinking today?
The Velvet Devil Merlot, 2015, Washington
State, right?
Yeah,
it looks delicious.
It is. You want some?
No, I poisoned it. So
okay.
Yeah.
Oh, no wonder.
Yeah,
got a tummy ache. No, I'm kidding. I don't.
Molly, what do you got? What are you drinking tonight?
Whatever alcohol you sat down and handed me.
Yeah, it is the Vino Moscato Apple Moscato from Washington State. This is a winery from, I guess, Washington State. Well, that's what's right on there. But it's good. So far, I'm also drinking a little bit of it, and I'm also drinking from Wisconsin's own Sprecher Amber Special. It's a classic beer for all us Milwaukeeites. Milwaukee, what are we? Is it Milwaukeeans?
That'll work.
Drunks?
That would also work, yes. But yeah, I'm having that also. I'm having beer and wine because I'm a special boy at the same time.
Special boy.
Special. And we're doing that. And before we get any further, this time, the sponsor up front, not the end. So we want to thank our one and only sponsor for sponsoring our episode. If you're looking for yoga in the southeastern Wisconsin area, please go to Peace Yoga Studio and Wellness Center in Appleton, Menominee, on Apple Avenue in Menominee Falls, Wisconsin. Phone number is 262-501-9500. First class is free. They have multiple types of yoga, gentle yoga, toddler yoga is the new thing they're having right now. They have events, and they also have chiropractors, acupuncturists, massage therapists, a whole bunch of wellness treatments. So once again, Peace Yoga Studio and Wellness Center in Menominee Falls, Wisconsin.
I've always wanted a yoga center that's like tagline is "Get stretched." Get stretched.
Get stretched.
Molly's yoga center. Get stretched.
There you go.
I like
Future career.
I like the idea of you owning a yoga center, but like,
Doesn't do yoga.
yeah, not at all.
Just understands that the mom haircut can make some real money off of yoga.
I like that if you just being up front, being very personal, eating chocolate cake all day. Just like, hey, you know, you should try is this yoga, you know?
I would love that. It's just it's yoga cake and yoga. We do both at my studio. Get stretched, and that means for stomach and for muscles.
And then have cake.
Yeah, get stretch muscles or stretch marks.
There we go. So normally we do some other bullshit at the beginning, but we're just gonna go right into it because we're gonna talk about our 10 favorite movies of the year. I think I'll start us off so you guys can know what's going on. My number 10 favorite movie of the year is a small movie that I don't think a lot of people saw. It's called Upgrade. Upgrade is a small kind of indie movie from Blumhouse. It's set in the future, I would say like 20, 30 years in Detroit. Basically, there is these couple, maybe it's like 40 years in the future. It's a couple. One is a computer engineer, the wife, and the husband is one of the few people who still work on actual gas cars. Everyone else is electric cars. Everything's controlled by AIs and whatnot. And so he does work for an eccentric billionaire who still owns cars. He does a lot of that kind of retro stuff. And on their way home from like a dinner, they get run off the road and their car malfunctions. And when they get out of the crash, some gangsters show up and just kind of kills the wife and makes him a paraplegic. He gets shot in the back, he actually gets stabbed in the neck with like a screwdriver, and he is like a paraplegic. But his friend, who's this builder, is like a computer whiz. He's like kind of like their Zuckerberg, and he has like this special. He's upset that his friend is like this, but he has this new chip that he's been working on to help people who are in the situation. And he puts this chip in his head and lets him learn how to walk it. It's in his neck. It's like acting as a relay for his spinal cord. And very later on, the chip becomes sentient, starts talking to him. So he has an AI in his head, and he can see stuff. And they decide together that they're going to solve this crime that is his wife's death. But what's really cool about it is like the chip can take over. So he's just a regular dude, and if he gets an access to the chip, he can fight. But he fights weird. Like those fighting scenes are very different. Like whoever was the physical coordinator of it has makes him fight like I guess a machine would. Like his arms are like he picks up random things. Like he's and the chip is like the computer chip can use all the senses, but in a computer way. Like he can, he tells them they commit a crime at one point, they actually kill someone. He remembers every place he touched with his fingertips, so he can go swap them all kind of stuff like that.
I don't think I want to remember that.
Yeah. But either way, it's a really cool movie. With the whole there's a whole backstory of what it is going on with political lies with with computers and AIs and what the government's doing. So there's the whole story, but it's done on a micro budget. This movie is a small movie.
It almost sounds like more sophisticated. What was that one movie about time travel that was really? It's actually kind of hard to understand.
Primer?
I think it's Primer.
Okay.
The one where they make a time machine out of a box.
Yeah, they're in the
It's a really good movie.
Yeah. This movie it's from Blumhouse. They always do these small little projects. It's hard to. There's no one famous that you would know. The main character is in a couple movies, but he's always a side character. He's really good in it. It got a really good review on Rotten Tomatoes. I really wish more people saw it because it was a fantastic dark action movie. In a year with hardly any what I would call straight up action movies. We're gonna fight and kill. There was no John Wick this year, so we had this in this place. So it was very good and very entertaining. And I love a movie that takes swings, especially in the sci-fi realm. They're in this area where there's AI and there's computer in your brain kind of thing, which has been done in RoboCop and The Matrix. There was a lot of safe avenues to go down. This is what happens. This is what you do. This one, for a guy who always guesses movies, had a couple twists at the end I did not skim. They gave me the twist I saw coming, and that there was a second twist on top that I did not see coming. It makes the movie so much better. So it's fun to watch and it's shorter too. So it's an hour and a half, hour and 40 minutes. It's an hour and a half of great action, then a really cool sci-fi twist at the end. So
cool.
I highly recommend the movie Upgrade. Joseph, what's your number 10?
My number 10 actually is Deadpool 2. In the year of superhero action movies, this was a good movie. I don't know if I would rate it as good as the first one.
Okay.
But much more dramatic, if you could call Deadpool dramatic. Then
there was a more
anger.
I think the first one, he straight up says, is a romantic comedy.
Yeah.
This one was I forget what they call it. He says what the movie is like it's time travel meets coming of age buddy cop kind of thing.
Anyone that listens to Better in 3D regularly knows that we do spoilers regularly. So I'm just going to give this away.
Yeah, spoils across the board for every movie, right?
Oh yeah.
I'll be okay with that.
Yeah.
So
If you don't want spoils, people turn off this podcast.
So the female lead from Deadpool 1, what was Monica?
Monica something or other.
Yeah, the one from Firefly.
She's from Firefly and Gotham.
Yeah,
And she's also the voice of Gideon on The Flash.
she dies right away, which sets the catalyst for a lot of things to come. One of the things that
Person in the audience, Haley, is giving me a look like she lost her mind. You didn't know that about that was Gideon? Okay, that's Gideon. Yeah. Yeah. No, just in The Flash. Yeah.
So that kind of sets the catalyst for some of the drama to come. It's not a drama, not even remotely, but it does have more dramatic points than like the first one, which was pretty much comedic.
I mean, I don't know. This one's funny as all get out. I mean, spoilers alert, when the X-Force team that he brings together all die immediately, that's hilarious. I mean...
Oh, yeah, true.
And
yeah.
And especially when they start gathering a team, like, I'm a big X-Men nerd, so I know all these characters, and like they bring Shatterstar in, and Shatterstar is one of the most absurd life-filled creations of all time. He's he's a clone mutant warrior from Ultra Dimension who literally is his own. His father is his actual clone from time travel. Like he's like his own. It's a weird like loop like thing. Like, it's a weird character, and the fact he was in there, I was like, oh my god, he's such a weird character, and they killed him. Oh, it makes sense because like he's so bizarre, like that kind of stuff.
Well, and Bill Skarsgård makes like a little cameo in there, and apparently Brad Pitt makes a cameo.
Yep, Brad Pitt does.
With that whole X-Force thing was just kind of hilarious and perfect.
Yeah, because they sold it. The Terry Crews on like all these people they sold to be like the X-Force, and because there was at the time there was going to be the next movie was we called Deadpool and X-Force. So like, oh, this is exciting because if you read the comics, Cable leads X-Force, and he's in the episode. I'm like, oh my god, we're gonna have our X-Force movie.
So is the Christmas movie canon? Or? No, it's just a re-edit.
It's re-editing. Yeah, well, yeah, it's canonish. It's they're doing what they do in the Neverending Story. They're telling a story, you know,
Okay.
But Brad Pitt, he's in the movie and you can't see his face except for when he dies. Mm-hmm. Rumor has it how he got paid.
He's Mr. Invisible or whatever.
I believe it's called the Vanisher.
Okay, Mr. Invisible.
His feed in the movie was just to have Ryan Reynolds had to bring him coffee every morning. Mm-hmm. That's what he wanted. He didn't want any money. Just give me coffee. Yeah, I agree with you. I liked it a lot. What's his name? Also Thanos. Guys, help me out. I'm losing the guy's name.
Oh, Josh Brolin.
Josh Brolin,
Yeah.
who's killing it this year in comic books. He
was good.
He was great as Cable.
Oh yeah, no, he's awesome.
The
Okay,
scene where he puts a
we have
knife
to
in
always,
his...
we have to comment Goonies.
Yes, he's also Goonies.
He's in the Goonies.
Joe loves the Goonies. And Kim hates it.
But no, I thought it was a really good movie. I guess the weak point was the didn't get the emotional connection with the boy. Yeah. I would say that would be a weak point to the film.
The action was better. The jokes were better, but it didn't have the same crisp story the first one had.
Exactly.
See, I went into it thinking, oh, it's Deadpool, it'll be fun, and I went in and I was like, wow, I really get the heart of this. Like there was like it was emotional for me. Like the main event that happens in the first 10 minutes, I was just like shook, and then I got the connection with the boy.
Mm-hmm. Actually, I got the connection too. I just felt like the other one had a more clear story because there was just one story. We had the B story with Cable, so like we're kind of splitting time on that time.
Yeah, that makes
and
sense.
Actually, Molly, I'm going to agree with you in the fact that opening part, set the catalyst for it being a much more dramatic and a different type film. But once again, I want to say that this is not a drama. This is still a total comedy. Yeah. But it had more heart than the first one, I think. But just like a different approach. For people that saw Deadpool 1 and expect that in Deadpool 2, it's a little bit different, in my opinion.
Well, I'm glad. Movies sequel should not try to copy each other. They
Exactly.
should try to change and grow.
Stretch.
Molly, what was your number 10?
My number 10, and let me tell you, this has gone on and off again, and it's changed, and this particular movie has moved up the list, it's moved down the list, is Colette.
Okay.
Starring Keira Knightley and... what was his name? I have him written down right here. Dominic West as Willie.
Oh, really? Dominic West? I've not seen Colette.
I'm actually interested
Yes, you
in this
have.
movie.
Not see Colette.
We had a very large
yes,
discussion the first time we met.
Yes,
we got into it because you disagreed with me.
Yes, you're right. I see too many movies. I definitely did see Colette. I was thinking of Tully for a second.
Oh yes,
Yeah,
no, okay.
no.
Well, we'll get to Tully,
Yeah.
but no, and it's a queer movie that was actually really well done. So Colette is about this girl in the 1700s.
Yes, I think it's 1700.
1700s, and she's in France, and she writes these books, but she doesn't get any credit because she's technically helping her husband write these books about a particular character, and the character ends up being herself, basically. And she goes through, and it's all about her kind of experiencing. It's a rags to riches story, yes, but it doesn't feel like a rags to riches. She's starting to experience the world and starting to open up, and so you see kind of the sexual revelation in her. You see Willie, her husband, starts demeaning this power over her because he knows that she is the only reason he is famous. And so the whole movie takes place around that. There's also some polyamorous stuff in there. But the acting is incredible and almost to the point of like Dominic West might have done better than Keira Knightley.
Actually, I agree with you, yeah.
I mean, he just nailed it. To be fair, I think it was written to that. I mean, for a movie called Colette, it's really about the husband and his kind of reaction to everything his wife is doing. But no, I really enjoyed it. And it was I didn't expect it. And I think that's why I loved it so much. I did not expect such a clean-cut movie.
I'm with you on that. I mean, I didn't obviously like as much as you did, but I was expecting a much or artistic movie. I'm afraid like more indie, where I'm going to have these weird like interpretations. It was a straightforward movie,
Yeah.
And the characters were. I think the acting was well. I just for some reason it just did not connect with me. Sometimes it's hard in a period piece for me to connect with like something like that. And I find I like Keira Knightley and most stuff. Sometimes she is hard to connect with. She seems almost too like she's too good at playing that time frame that she feels like she's from that time frame, and I can't get that actual like weirdly foothold in what she's doing.
See,
Does that make sense?
I kind of disagree.
Yeah,
With
wholeheartedly.
Just Keira Knightley as an actor. I think.
No,
she's
I'm saying when she plays the Victorian age person, she just feels like I don't know. Like I'm looking for like flaws in her a lot of times, and she seems just too much in that role. I mean,
I think it is her comfort zone.
Yeah.
But like I said, I kind of disagree. I love seeing her in that type of role. Although it's also nice to see her like stretch a little bit. Like I don't know.
Did you ever see
I just wanna
Domino?
bring up Bendit.
Better like Beckman?
Yes.
I was here in Domino where she plays a mercenary and a bounty hunter, and she just fucking kills people with machine guns. It's fucking great.
Wait, which was? It's
called Domino.
Oh yes, I have seen this.
Yeah.
Yep.
I might have to check that one out.
So, all right. So Colette. So you liked a lot.
I liked it a lot. Like I said, it moved around, and I'm not sure that it was necessarily the best movie to take the number 10 spot, but it was the one that kept sticking with me, that kept going back on the list. I was like, okay, then it deserves to be there.
Well, here, yeah, I feel like we should maybe bring this up too, like how we grade our list here.
Oh, yeah.
So, like my first, we said these are our favorites. Like things I'm going to look on, and it's going to keep coming up in a bunch. Is one, how much sticks with you, how much I remember. If it has a resonance in me for like sometimes you see a great movie. Like one movie I did see just recently that was great was the Beale Street movie, which is actually technically great, but like I forgot it then like 15 seconds after I walked out of the movie.
Yeah.
But if it sticks with me, I also reward movies that take chances. I will always reward a failed experiment over a well done like rehash. It's the same thing over and over again. And I also give credit for original writing. I'm gonna always some people like great acting. I'm always gonna go for great writing. That's one on my personal list. So I don't know what you guys. What are you looking for in these movies, Joe? What's the binding factor?
Kind of a combination of both.
I mean, I saw your list. I feel like fun's got to be in it. You've just enjoyed yourself. Seems like a big thing.
Yeah.
There you go.
Okay. I kind of like a combination of great acting and great story. A lot of the movies on my list are things that were blockbusters and fun movies, but honestly, that was a lot of.
That was this year, though. In general, me and Molly were talking this last episode. Like, it was such a year of like either like sad dramas that made you want to cry. There's no joy, or just like these like well-made popcorn flicks, like the best. Like the fact that Black Panther's that good, or even like the Fallout, or these movies that in previous years would have just been like a fun blockbuster had some real weight to them this year.
Yeah, and I think the other thing we were talking about is like my list is typically 8 like small movies that most people haven't heard of, and then 2 really big ones, and that's kind of the opposite this year. I think it's just the sheer amount people are trying to get, or the filmmakers are trying to get people out to the movies, and so they're spending money on the big budget stuff that's going to draw in the people, and not the little indie films that are probably have some sort of idealist acting and
also
writing.
like indie films can go like streaming, like go right to iTunes and so like I feel like that's the streaming. That's like they go to Netflix, they go to Prime, and frankly, if you guys saw one on that, that's fine to put on your list. But I don't feel like they get the same type of push,
Yeah,
and honestly, like if it was like a perfect world, I would actually want more independent films.
Yes.
I mean, we're seeing all these reboots, all these massive blockbusters, and those are the films that get attention. What I would really like to see are less blockbusters, more independent films, more originality, more story.
Well, I feel like what has happened to the indie film scene has become the fact that TV has become so good. It's like the money in artistry that would go that now makes Stranger Things, or they go to Netflix and they do like basically a long movie, like these great. Like we're the gold age of TV, like like these True Detective, whatever you like, would have been in the '90s. Would have been one indie movie. Now there's money in television; you can go get that done. And frankly, a lot of writers and producers and directors want more time. They want to tell more of the story, so they're apt to go do it. So the explosion of great TV, I feel, has killed a little bit of the small movie scene.
Yeah.
How are you putting your list together?
I put it on because we were talking about so many movies were sad and just almost hard to get through at times. Like, yeah, this is great, but I really don't want to face this reality today. What wowed me, like what just let me sit there and enjoy it and like let me be a little kid again just at the movies for like the first time. Like, what did I get to just kind of lose myself in? Also, I love the acting. The acting. If it's a key piece of acting, I'll sit there and be like, that was great. Also the writing, like if an original script is going to go a long way for me. But then there's also things move up and down, like as I think how good they actually are. Because some of my favorite movies are shitty movies. Like my favorite movie this year, if I'm being real honest, was Lizzie. But I can't put that as my number one because it was so terribly made. I can't do it.
Was it bad? Because I was actually interested in seeing that. Because the whole like kind of murder story, that goes
it was
along
great.
with
Go
that.
watch it. Mm-hmm. Let yourself be happy. Watch it. Enjoy it. My roommates that are in the peanut gallery are glaring because they're like, don't watch it, but watch it and enjoy yourself. It was one of the most supremely fun movies to sit there and just completely tear apart the entire time you're watching it.
Not much historical accuracy with that one, I feel.
I mean, also, how would you know exactly? I mean,
that's true. It's a mystery.
It's a mystery, yeah. Mm-hmm. So I mean, you can put the gaps there. So we got back. We got a lot of movies left. My number 9 is Annihilation. So this movie came out earlier in February. It's by the director Alex Garland, who did Ex Machina, and has that same kind of feel. We were talking about original script. This has got original script out the wazoo, and great acting. It stars Natalie Portman. She plays I believe either an oncologist, some kind of biologist. Like she plays, actually, I think the term is she's a geneticist. Is what she is. So she's studying different types like that. And her husband, who is a soldier, has been missing for about a year, like presumed dead. Like she doesn't know where he is. She went off on a mission. He's gone. And they actually met in the military together. They were both Marines. But she left at some point to pursue college and that and whatnot. And then all of a sudden, so she's kind of depressed, and she just one day her husband's played by Oscar Isaac, just shows up, and there's this weird scene. He's like in the kitchen, and she's like so shocked. She wants to like hug him or kiss him, but she actually hits him a bunch of times because she's so angry, letting him think she's dead. And then it just turns into like a crazy sex romp because like it's just like all his emotion, and literally it's like she goes up to where were you kind of like before they can even like get into a conversation. Because he's trying to explain, but he can't. He just starts bleeding from the eyes and the nose and the ears. And she just gets in an ambulance with him and just starts heading towards the hospital. Like, she doesn't know what's going on, but she's freaking out. Black Ops team shows up before the ambulance even gets to the hospital, takes them both into custody, and she's like, what is going on? Like, what is happening? And basically, what's her name? Jennifer Jason Leigh plays like this government CIA agent who kind of shows her what's going on. There was a strike from outer space. You don't know what it is. Hits a national park in the bayou, basically, and it's been there for almost like a year now. And it has a weird energy field that's emanating from this lighthouse where it hit it. And it's kind of expanding slowly, but like anything that goes in doesn't come out. They call it the shimmer because also the special effects are amazing. it looks like a bubble, but it's like fractal light happening. It looks like a prism happening on like the air. And he was part of a team that they sent in there to figure out what's going on, because there's people inside. There's like campers. There were people living in this area, workers of this area. They said it's a chemical spill. That's what they told everyone, but it's not. And this thing's getting larger and larger. And he's the first person to come out. And they're showing his wife, who's Jenna says, his DNA, and it's not human anymore. It's humanish. His DNA is actively mutating. And they don't know if if it's not cancer, it's changing. She doesn't know what's going on, but she feels the only place she can find out what happened to him and maybe get a cure would be inside there. So they asked her to be part of a team, kind of quintessentially, because they send multiple teams in there of soldiers made up of only men. So they're sending a team of scientists made up of women. So it's her, Tessa Thompson. She plays I believe a botanist. They have Gina. What's her name?
Rodriguez.
Yeah, I think no. Yeah, is
Actually, I remember seeing.
Yeah, it is her.
Trailer
Gina Rodriguez. She plays an EMT, but not like a normal one. She's like trained for like terrorist attacks. Like she's like not a combat EMT, but she's like for like almost like SWAT. Like she goes in like troubled areas. And this just. Jennifer Jason Leigh goes in with them too. Like they're gonna go in together. And once again, they're it's weird. The plants are like it looks like what's a Pandora? Like the plants are weird. They're glowing. They see animals like the deer don't look right. Their antlers are warped and twisted. At some point, they find an alligator Texas in the bayou. They kill it, but it's got shark teeth in it, and like all the animals are mutating in crossbreeding. Like it's all over the place. I know what's going on. Eventually, they get to like where the shoulders were, and they have videotape of like some horrible things happening, like they're going bad. So like, I'm not trying to spoil this. This is a movie I don't want to spoil too much because it's like I actually want people to see it, but it's crazy. Like, and everyone in there like goes kind of mad. It's part of the thing because and they even say it's a side effect of this mutation. Like your brain chemistry is being changed, so like they all go kind of crazy in different ways. But stuff with Natalie Portman, she's on a mission to save her husband. She's going to get there no matter what. She's like the only one who's really combat trained. Like she has an M16 and she is fighting. She gets to lack of a better word, the entity at one point. And it's if you like the Thing or the Abyss, it's kind of in your wheelhouse. That kind of stuff.
Yeah, that is actually, I'll have to check that out. What's the title again?
It's called Annihilation.
Yeah. I saw the trailer like somewhere, I forget.
It was earlier, it was like February. It was really earlier. And it stuck with me. It just was such a smartly written. Mm-hmm. Do either one of you guys see Ex Machina?
No, just bits and pieces. Like in the earlier part, I did not see the whole thing. But everyone's saying, Joe, you have to see this movie.
So, if you liked Ex Machina, you'll love this movie. Mm-hmm. It's pretty fantastic. Joe, what was your number 9?
Number 9 is actually Ready Player One. Kind of controversial for me to recommend this. Well,
I'm just gonna stop you right there. That's my number 9 as well.
Oh, all right.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah,
Straight up.
High five. All right.
There was an actual high five, guys. You couldn't hear it.
The reason why I say it's kind of controversial is such a difference between. Did you read the book?
I did not. No.
Okay. Such a difference between the book. I mean, they're both pop culture. I don't know.
Well, I mean, the book is so short, and I thought there's no way they can make this a movie. And
there's no way they could get the rights.
Well, they got a lot of rights to other stuff too, though.
They did,
yes.
yes.
I mean, come on.
Now, I could go on and on about comparing the book and the movie, but the movie, going into this movie, you have to, if you are a fan of the book, you have to like just go into this movie expecting something totally different. I mean, it's not totally different, but
it has the same soul of it. I mean,
yeah, it's got the same soul.
Yeah. It's just different pop culture
different events.
Yeah, different pop culture references.
So it's almost like two different like great things. But if you're like a book purist, you may not be happy, which is why I say it's kind of controversial. But no, it's just wonderful. If you like grew up in the 80s and experienced a lot of that upbringing, you can really connect with a lot of the things you see there. I mean, like Freddy Krueger and like a lot of the other stuff. So basically the story revolves around a guy that basically...
I mean, lack of a better term, imagine if the Matrix was made up of pop culture. I mean, you go in this like virtual world, and but it's everything you ever wanted. Like you can, like you saw, but like the book is mostly 80s. The movie's got 80s and 90s. I mean, we see Sonic the Hedgehog, we see Ninja Turtles, we see
that's true.
We see a lot of stuff like that, and there's some 70s. I mean, one of the main plot points is The Shining. You know, like that's like a little throwback.
That was one of the coolest scenes I
by
think
far
from this year.
Best part of the movie.
And actually, that might have been kind of the reason that they did that, because unless you were I don't know, Generation X or something, you may not pick up on a lot of the references that they may have thrown at you, like Zork. I mean, how many people remember Zork?
I remember Zork.
Okay, you remember Zork?
I was never big into video games, and I'm kind of a fetus, so
Okay,
But like, so there was a ton of video games, but it's on your list. You still like
it's
all
on
the
my list. Yeah, and
tons of
so
reference, though.
tons of references that I got too. So I think that was part of it. Is like everybody gets something out of this movie. There were like Call of Duty and Black Ops references.
There was Buckaroo Banzai in that. I couldn't believe that was in this thing. I was like,
Yeah.
holy cow! Like
and
that's,
they mentioned Duran Duran.
they mentioned everything.
But I liked, the dystopian future idea that the video games are now the future and what it can become. And, obviously it's a giant metaphor for big companies and all of that stuff. But I thought it was, as someone who didn't really play video games at the time, I have now since gotten into Fortnite, but I don't think that makes me a video gamer by any stretch of the imagination.
It's official.
Okay. Dylan would disagree.
Yes, he would.
And he would be really upset that I brought this up
Well,
again.
he should have been here then.
Yeah, exactly. But I can't even pinpoint what it is. I liked the diverse characters and just kind of the one is kind of the main characters are just a guy that
What's
has
his
like
name again? I'm
blonde
totally
hair.
Oh, the
character's main name. It's like
Oh, I don't know.
I'm gonna look it up. What you guys
yeah,
can
look
talk.
it up.
Um,
I'll look
and then
it up too.
you've got the one character that's kind of this like metal monster kind of thing. It like very different. Like they're just all they're video game characters, and then when they come out of that and they're human aliases. Human aliases. I say that because human is the alias. It's not their true form.
Their avatars,
true,
like they're in, like who they are on the inside. Basically.
yeah, basically. And so, like when you see them as humans, like how diverse and like how different each of those matched up. So I really liked the interpersonal connections in there, and I just thought like between the references, the visuals, just the concepts that everything revolved around as far as the maker's actual like his backstory and how he fell in love, but he really didn't know how to be in love, so he lost love. I just thought it was really well put together, and I went and saw it twice actually.
Oh, really?
I ended up going with somebody else like the next day because I was like, we thought we were gonna hate this, and I went just because I was bored and needed something to see. You got to go. It's great.
Yeah, I mean, former part-time guest host on your broad, Chris Malsack, he told me that would be his #1 movie of the year. He loved it. He couldn't get enough of it. The kid's name is Wade or
Wade.
Parzival is like his avatar.
Parzival, yep.
Parzival. I like a lot. I like Ben Mendelsohn as the villain. The corporate guy. He plays corporate villain better than most. I feel like there's the urge to be.
He was
to
what's
be
his
like
name
too
in,
fanatical.
Rogue One.
Yeah,
He was, yeah.
but he wasn't like he still seemed real. Like nothing he's doing seems too crazy. Like it's all about profit margins and stuff like that. So nothing he's doing is like you're gonna murder a few kids. You have a couple $1 billion or $100 billion. What was it? $50 billion? It was an insane amount of money.
It was a lot.
So the basic plot revolves around the fact that you have this corporate entity that wants to capture this internet that everyone's totally enamored with. Like everyone's into this thing.
Let's
They're
be
all
honest,
playing
it's
games. It's multiple worlds.
It's Willy Wonka.
Like virtual, yeah.
Like the idea is that anyone can win it with the golden ticket. If you get the golden ticket, or this time 3 golden keys or whatever they are, you get to own this company basically.
And there's a group that wants to stop him because if the corporation gets it, well, then it's all going to be like, kind of like if you surf
It's gonna be
Microsoft
like YouTube.
Network and you like click on one of their links and you have like 50 million ads that just pop up all over the place. Well, this is what they want for
Yeah, they want to monetize it.
Yeah.
More so, because all these revenue streams are not they gotta go.
Kind of like remember when you used to watch TV and like one commercial would pop up and now you'd like surf the internet and now like 10 commercials pop up all in your face.
Sorry, Joe. We cut the cord years ago. We don't know what television is anymore. We're so cool.
No,
and young.
but you know the internet.
I'm just joking.
Commercials? Commercials?
Commercials. So you
what
guys
is
both
that?
like. I also saw Ready Player One. I liked a lot. I like the opening scene when he's in the DeLorean and the Tyrannosaurus Rex from Jurassic Park. There was that was my favorite part.
And King Kong.
Yeah, there were so many good things like that. I guess
And
maybe
The Shining.
I should give it a second chance. I liked it, didn't love it, but if people who do love it, I don't besmirch it. I mean, it's
And
it's
when are
so
you
much.
buying me a DeLorean?
Joe, that is
I always
definitely.
wanted a DeLorean.
Well, I'll get on that. Okay.
I just the scene that sold it for me was The Shining.
Oh, yeah.
I'm a huge fan of The Shining, and I just sat there and I was like, this is amazing. So
I mean, you can tell. I mean, it's such a special effects heavy movie. Most of it's CG. You can tell when they put money in certain scenes. The Shining scene looks the best. It looks great. Mm-hmm. Some of the other fight scenes, especially when they're on, are they on Azeroth when they fight the last?
Although I like the use of the Twisted Sisters song. I thought was really cool.
Yeah.
We're not gonna take it. I had to sing somewhere.
You always do. All right, well, I'm gonna keep going. My number 8 is, I think it's on Joe's list later on, but it's Avengers: Infinity War is my number 8.
Oh, wow, made number 8.
Yeah.
I thought it would have been higher, knowing you're a comic book fan.
I am a comic fan. So here, yeah, I loved it. I loved everything about it. Like, were there better comic movies, like, technical-wise and story-wise, and I want to spoil anything like that? Yes, maybe. But I have a soft spot for the Avengers. When it came out, I liked it. I mean, if you don't know the spoiler ending, I can't believe when they all die. When Spider-Man dies, I did cry. I cried like a fucking bitch in the theater. I really did. I was like,
it was really tragic.
Oh,
I even commented to Kim, my wife, for
Kim.
those who don't know.
Like, I like to think that people who listen to the podcast think she's made up, because you bring her up a lot, but like, there's no proof she exists. Like
my fantasy.
Yeah,
of course not. But no, I mean, yeah, that was like the most tragic part of that movie was like Spider-Man dying.
Do you know that was thrown in there? It was not in the script. Like, he was just supposed to evaporate, and Robert Downey Jr. said we should do something. So he said that's why he's such a collaborator with the Russos. So he loves them. Is like he basically said, hey, we need to do something more with Spider-Man. So that was probably the most pivotal scene in the movie, other than maybe like, I don't know, like when Thor's gets killed at the beginning, kind of like this, like it's the most emotional scene,
and Thor, the most like adrenaline pumping scene when he comes in, he just starts kicking.
I watched that a bunch of times. Actually, I'm not gonna lie to you. I just watched it the other day, and I cried when the Scarlet Witch kills the Vision. Like, I should not be this emotionally tied up in these characters, but it worked. I liked it. It's long. There are some people who say that it's. I remember watching the first time. I remember thinking, man, there's so much happening and so much action. This seems a little much. But every time I watch, since it's been on Netflix and I watch it basically every other day, I watch at least 20 minutes of it. Like, I just watch a scene or two. I enjoyed it quite a bit. I like the Guardians in there. I like everything about it.
So actually, that was my number 3.
Oh, no.
And that's why I was kind of surprised to say, because knowing you're a big comic book fan. But one of the reasons why it was my number 3, the year of the blockbuster, I guess you could say, was because of that emotional impact. There was like a lot going on, but it hit you. You connected with the characters, and I think. I think what's so important with movies nowadays that it's easy to forget is that you need that emotional connection. Special effects are nice, but if you need the characters and you need to connect with those characters, and if you don't have that, then you can have all the special effects in the world and it's not going to be anything. And I felt that in this movie we could connect with the characters.
Even in the brief moments. Everyone's got that moment. They do well. Molly, did you ever seen it? I know you're not a huge comic person.
No, and I mean, I like a good comic book movie, but I'm more like the specialty comic book movies, Thor Ragnarok, like Into the Spider-Verse, things that aren't necessarily part of a universe that I can just kind of like.
What's the problem with the Marvel?
What's
great and bad about the Marvel universe is like, it's only great because they've not made a few. There's only been a few bad in there. Like, I mean, Thor: Dark World, a couple ones like that you could take out, but like in general, they're making home runs every single time, and they got us down to a formula. They know how to make. They know when to put the jokes in. They know when to give us emotional. Like, they give us that. So, I mean, I get what you're saying though, but like, yeah, that's why they keep running until they don't do a good one. We'll try to keep seeing them, and they got to keep connecting because it's making $1 billion each time they make a movie.
I mean, I think part of the reason I don't watch it. Is because they all connect, and I just don't have the sheer time to connect to it.
So it's like 4 movies a year now. It's pretty like in this upcoming year we got Captain Marvel, then we have the Avengers, and then we have Spider-Man: Far Away from Home, and I believe we have. Is it Black Panther 2? Is it Doctor Strange? There's another one like the end of the year. I think they got them all lined up. They have them all in a row.
And actually, agreeing with Molly, I mean, it's almost too much in a way. It's funny, like in surfing the web about movies and movie trivia and stuff like that. There'll be like they'll talk about Dark World, and all of a sudden I'll be like, I don't even remember that because there's like so much information about like what is it, 19 films right now that have come out. Yeah. That it's hard to even like remember like what happened.
19 films detail. And like technically like 6 TV shows too. Like they're not super connected, but they are in the same universe. I mean, you got Daredevil, Luke Cage, Jessica Jones, Iron Fist,
and even Marvel Shield,
and Cloak and Dagger are all in that same world. They're all part of that thing.
And it's almost like too much. It's like a super mini series stretched out through cinema.
I'm actually really excited when the Disney Plus or whatever gets launched. They're doing those. TV shows that are from the actual movie. They're doing a Vision, Scarlet Witch with those characters. They're going to be one season, 10 episodes. We're doing that. They're doing Winter Soldier and Falcon together. So those characters we could not get enough time with are finally getting their shows.
Did I hear rumors of like a Black Widow movie finally?
Black Widow, they think it's going to be R-rated. That's going to be the next one. Yeah,
that's the rumor, yeah.
Yeah. It's going to be a prequel, I believe, though.
Okay.
So
Here for it. Oh my gosh, didn't know that.
yeah, that's one of the ones that
kick somebody in their head.
they're trying not to like launch too much out before the Avenger movie out, but they just launched the Spider-Man trailer this week because like people were like, we want to see this trailer. So it's kind of a spoiler because now we realize he's back alive. So like, but man, that trailer! Did you watch that trailer?
I did.
Oh.
And
first of all,
I was just like, Venice. It's Venice.
And also, it's Jake Gyllenhaal as Mysterio, and I was really worried because in the comic book, Mysterio wears this like giant fishbowl thing on his head, and you can't see his face. I'm like, you better not cover up that beautiful man's face this whole movie. He has the costume.
He doesn't have a fishbowl.
He does it. He's the exact same costume, cape, everything else. Like, no, we're not gonna like bane him like they did with Tom Hardy. They're gonna let everyone see his face, which I think is great. Okay, I'm sorry.
So Venom. Oh, like okay, never mind.
No. I mean, Bane when he was.
Okay.
He wore the mask the whole time.
Mm-hmm. And then his voice was,
Yeah, he wasn't Tom Hardy.
His voice.
So, Joe, what was your number 8? We got to keep moving this along.
Okay, number 8. Okay, I'm here. Number 8 was A Simple Favor. A little bit of a twist. Simple Favor starring Anna Kendrick and
Blake Lively.
Blake Lively. Yeah. Little bit of a twist from like my past two choices. More of a detective with a twist ending.
It's like I would call it a social media noir film.
Pretty much. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I just fucking nailed it. I think that was on the top of my head. I'm
exactly what it is.
I'm holding the mic. I kind of want to drop it. It was so good that loud.
Okay, so like one of the things that I liked about it was it was a little bit more of a detective movie. You didn't know like quite what was happening until the end. The acting was pretty good. Anna Kendrick playing her, quirky kind of social media, recipe mom type person.
Just the type A to a millionth degree, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And then like Blake Lively being the devious, and for some reason these people connect.
It's not on my list. I don't know if it's on your list.
It spent about one draft on my list.
It's like if I had a number 13 to be that list. It was on my honorable mentions. But we were talking about it earlier. I think what's great about the reason those two are friends is because they're both completely outsiders by their own choosing. Like their own personalities push everyone away. Not that their personality is bad or good, but it's that type of personality that's they dominate the room in different ways. And they're very lonely. For people who think they're very self-sufficient, they also just want to have friends, and that's why they connect. It's a weird combination.
And see, you make that comment, and it's so hard for me to do this because I have since gone back and read the book. And the book highlights a lot of stuff in the movie that I'm like, I didn't catch that. There's a lot of differences in the book, and I liked the book a lot more, but I loved the movie, and so I have to kind of separate the two. But it's so hard because they are so intricately linked. But the movie, they did so much with the situational comedy,
because it's Paul Feig who did
Ghostbusters
and Bridesmaids and The Heat. He does comedy.
Yeah,
and he does this dark. I mean, comedy. I would call this a dark comedy, but like it's more of a drama most of the time. It's like 90% Gone Girl and 10% Bridesmaids. It's got
that's a good way. Yeah.
And you need that kind of because it's. I feel the story is bizarre and strange enough. If you didn't have that, you'd be like, all right, that was stupid. You need this kind of weird, like, throw a little laughter in there once in a while. I'm sorry we cut you off. Joe. Keep talking about your movie.
No. So you've got the two characters, and then the husband, which comes in, and then like all these situations happen with the characters, and they connect. And
basically, if you haven't seen the trailer, their two moms were friends, and they're becoming friends for a while. And the one Anna really likes Blake Lively. She wants a friend. She asks her for a simple favor: "Can you pick my kid up from school?" That's all it is, and she just disappears. She vanishes. Mm-hmm. So they think she's dead. So she becomes, because she's such a compulsive type A. She goes out to her in the blogosphere. She got a lot of followers. She puts the information out. She's looking for her lost friend. Mm-hmm. And the police think maybe the husband did it or someone else. It's all this who did what. I like the fact that we kind of find the a big chunk of like what's going on pretty early, halfway through the story. That was actually better. Like it wasn't like all just like twist on twist on twist at the end. Like they doll up all because it's crazy things that happen. If they would have kind of waited to the end of this, kind of like what you would do at like most noir films, like you get it all at the last 5-10 minutes of the movie. I think it'd been too much. The fact that they kind of like wade you into the bizarre craziness of this movie is why it works.
And a big year for Henry Golding, the husband in that movie. He's a brand new actor. He was completely starstruck the entire movie.
Oh, really? He's great in that movie.
He's great. They said when he was filming, he was like, "Oh my gosh, this Anna Kendrick!" Like he was forgetting lines because the only other movie he had done was Crazy Rich Asians, and there's really not a lot of huge names in that movie. And this was his first like big movie, and so I think he absolutely kills it. And I really want to see more from him because I think A Simple Favor was just scratching the surface of what he can do.
I didn't even know that. I liked him as a character, actor in the movie, but I didn't realize
he gives the movie some weird reality because the two main women are like almost in a different world. Like it's hard to visualize them as people. They're almost characters of like an archetype, But if he's not there, you don't get like he's the weird glue that kind of holds this bizarre movie together.
Yeah, and his character is perfectly positioned as like he's a teacher, but he's got some little like weird like creepy stuff going on behind the scenes.
So it's like everyone has this agenda.
His
that's
weird,
on
his weird. His agenda is a very normally weird agenda. Like husband like cheats or whatever. Like it. It's the only like sane amount of like this is what a sane person's life is like when something is weird or goes wrong. This is what it's like. Yeah. It's not this brother-fucker kind of thing.
I mean, basically, he's like lives in with a hurricane, which is Blake Lively, and he does his best. And like the only person who doesn't bow to the hurricane is Andrew Kendrick in this weird kind of submissive, passive way, but
she's almost like in her own world.
Yes,
it's like her own like little fantasy world.
I'm gonna say I love the sets in this movie. I love the costume design. I like the way these weird dresses on them all the time. There's like this
suits. Blake Lively suits, and she had to convince Paul Feig. She was like, "Just let me do suits. I swear to God, I will make them gorgeous. I will make them so hot." Because he wanted her in like these just sleek, like revealing dresses, and she's like, "No. There's a better way to do this." And I thought it worked really well for her.
All right,
and the character, yeah.
Great movie. I recommend checking it out. It's a weird, dark noir comedy. I would check it out.
Different.
Molly, what's your number 8?
My number 8 is Can You Ever Forgive Me, starring Melissa McCarthy. She plays a down on her luck introverted character who basically takes these letters by famous authors, or some of them aren't authors, they're just famous people, and these letters that they have found from them after their death or something, and kind of embellishes on them and adds something funny, and then she starts doing complete forgery on some of these. It was Melissa McCarthy in a really good role for her. I know Melissa McCarthy is a good actress. We've seen her, but we only see her play into that one type of actress.
You pretty much see her in that one comedic role. That's pretty much a one-dimensional character, which is really funny, but she plays it like...
I've not seen this movie. I've heard only great things. I want to see. It was in the theater so quickly. It was hard to see.
Yeah, and it was over in Downer for about 2 weeks, and I just happened to catch it during those 2 weeks. But no, she plays it really well, and then her husband makes a cameo, as her husband always does. Mm-hmm. But to me, I liked Richard E. Grant in it. He plays kind of this off-the-wall character that she runs into, and she's a complete and total introvert, has no friends, no loved ones, and he kind of just squirms his way into her life and starts kind of helping her with this thing.
Is this, I'm correct wrong, is it based on a true story?
Yes.
Okay.
This is, and from what I understand, what I've read, it's a fairly accurate portrayal of what happened. But I have him on a list for Best Supporting Actor. He was just, I remember him. Like, I remember his character. He plays kind of a flamboyant gay guy who's late in life, and he just basically there to give her shit and help her out, just as any a good friend does. So, interesting script. I really liked the portrayal, and it was funny, but it was not on the nose funny, and the entire time you just see her life spiraling downhill, and you're just like, you don't have to do this to yourself, but you know that she does, because writing these letters have become what she clings to. She's a failed writer, and it's the only thing she hasn't failed at.
All right. If you like Melissa McCarthy in a dramatic role that's not comedy, that you might like, did you ever see St. Vincent with Bill Murray?
Yes, I believe.
She plays a single mom, and she's like a nurse, and like she plays a complete. She does no comedy. That she's just the
Maybe not. I don't think so. I think it was on my list.
He's it's from last year's on my list. He plays like an old vet who's like a drunk, and he's down his luck. He's neighbors with Melissa McCarthy, and he ends up babysitting for money. It's got Naomi Watts as a pregnant Russian prostitute / hooker. You got him as like a gambler, and this little boy that kind of like warms his heart, this like broken man kind of deal. And she plays like the mom basically, and it's pretty fantastic.
I'll have to check it out.
Okay, my number 7 is "Won't You Be My Neighbor." It is the documentary about Mr. Fred Rogers, Mr. Rogers, his whole life, and then like it's not just a good topic, a good subject. I mean, see this movie, it makes you feel great for most of the movie. It makes you sad at the end, because he dies, and also people are terrible. But it's super interesting. I love this director. I'm going to look up her name right now, or maybe it's his name. But like, it does his whole life, and they do these little like soliloquies in the middle where it's like animation, and it's like they're all told from Fred Rogers' like interviews about his childhood and about his life. So like the way he saw the world, what he was doing, and like what he wanted. So like things you don't know about. He was intelligent, but he was also an ordained minister, which I didn't know. He kept his religion. He thought his whole thing was, you should not preach religion. You should do great acts in the world, and then that is your testifying to the world. You do these amazing things. You do good things, and if people want to ask you about what you believe, then you can tell them, hey, this is a good person. Do you believe in what you believe? And then he would tell them, but he would never go out there and like do that, which I feel like is the best way if you're going to be a religious person, just be a good person, and then let people inquire. That's how you should spread it. Who the director was? It was fantastic. Morgan Neville is the director. Actually, is a guy. Yeah, he's done a few other stuff. But he was fantastic, mostly TV. But the movie is great. It follows his whole a lot of his friends and coworkers and his family do candid, heartful interviews. They go through his whole thing from Pittsburgh when he did like a local local show to going to PBS to when he talks about Congress. He basically kind of saves the PBS. They were about to shut it down, and he basically gets out there and just talks to Congress saying why it should be there and what it's for, and talks about his life, like how was always trying to be inclusive, and like he had a very one of his very, very, very famous episodes. And a lot of this is before my time. It was like when there was there was this incident where they kicked all these African American children out of these public pools, and they weren't allowed there, and it was like a big scene. And he has one of the characters on there who is an African American man who they literally have a kid pool, and they go in the kid pool together, and like literally days after that was his thing. He wanted to show everyone do you want to talk to kids that were in a way that they were intelligent. Like there was he talks about death, he talks about religion, he talks about politics, he talks about, at the time, nuclear war was a big thing. He does a lot of episodes about that. He does it very, very sweet and very innocent, but he does it in a way that the kids can understand. And he says he never want to back off and talk because kids are afraid. And he says when they don't get answers with fear, that's when ignorance and hate and things fall in that place if you don't give them actual answers. So it's really interesting to watch. There's just so much footage of him talking about his views on the world, like what he wants to do, like what do you believe in, what do you want. It's interesting documentary.
And one of the interesting, one of the great things about Mr. Rogers in general is the fact that so many people that we look at as role models, you find some little secret controversy about him that tears them down.
Well, I mean,
he never had that.
Yeah. He never did, but I feel like in America, a lot of times we want to tear down because when there's people who are good, I mean they're wrong. A lot of them are flawed, but everyone's flawed. There's no perfect person, and no one's gonna be the perfect all the time. And so people want to tear down people who have this story because it makes them feel less shitty about themselves. There's issues with anyone, but it was just such an interesting look in a person who really just wanted to help entertain, help. Also, he's got 2 majors, one in theology and one in children's psychology, and then he did broadcasting. He had 3 weird he interned as a broadcaster for years, and then he almost left to be a psychologist, but he said, I'm going to keep doing this. He just realized he could do more that way. The whole way he comes with puppets and the voices. There's a whole backstory of how they came about, why it worked. It's just very interesting. I mean, I could go on this for a long time. But Watch My Neighbor. It's a great documentary.
What's the new TV like cartoon that's...
Oh, Daniel Tiger? My niece is obsessed with that. I'm actually shocked that they're not just running reruns of Mr. Rogers. I mean, I know it's old, but still, it's timeless.
Yeah, why wouldn't you do that?
I don't know.
Yeah,
Joe,
seriously.
pass me
So
a
many
beer?
good messages. Oh, sure.
Thank you. Thank you, Joseph.
You're welcome.
It's beer o'clock. All right, Joe, what's your number 7?
Mary Queen of Scots.
Ooh, that is my number 6.
Oh, cool.
Is that on your list?
It has moved off my list on a final draft.
Haley loved it. She was...
Amazing.
Yeah.
You'd watch it again and not sleep through it.
Molly fell asleep in the middle of it when we were done.
Molly has a theme recently of being very tired when she tries to, like, I just don't sleep sometimes, so then I go out and try to do something and I fall asleep trying to do the thing. So
There's a couple things with this movie. I really liked it. I love period pieces. This is a great period piece. Great acting from Margot Robbie and...
I screw her name every time. Molly, help you out.
Margot Robbie.
No.
Oh, is it Robbie?
No,
Oh.
Robbie. No. The other
Oh,
actress.
Saoirse Ronan.
I can't.
Oh, thank you, because I was totally going to butcher that name.
Saoirse Ronan.
Saoirse like a nurse shot. I like that.
Yeah.
Oh, I remember that. Saoirse
And
Ronan.
if you want
Okay.
the like Irish pronouncing, it's Saoirse Ronan.
Okay.
Like there's like some sort. I'm not saying that completely correct, but there's even like a weirder inflection to it.
So, kind of torn with this. I love this movie, but with caveats. The acting was great.
Phenomenal. Those,
Yes.
especially Saoirse Ronan, should be nominated for her because she is phenomenal. And Mark Robbie plays it very subtle, and they should both be nominated. It's just phenomenal.
Absolutely. One of the things that obviously the story is basically between Mary Queen of Scots post, and there's a great TV show called Rain.
Yes, I've watched all of it. But that's her time in France, and that's a really good time. You should it's kind of weird those two things exist pretty close to each other.
Yeah, and so this is the time after France when she's back in Scotland and everything, and trying to assert Scotland's independence, and she runs into problems with the Scottish nobles, and there's a lot of sexism in there. Like women should not be like doing this and everything like that. The reason why it didn't make higher on my list is because there's a lot of history that was forgotten. And actually to really, do the whole history justice, it would have to be a miniseries.
That's what I'm saying.
This is like 6 hours of movie.
The book is supposed to be really long too. Like it's supposed to be a really long book. So I feel like I thought the movie was tight and like well done and it's like what 220 is 225. It was a pretty long movie.
Yeah.
And it didn't feel long. I mean, it has. I don't want to say it's action packed. It really is not. But it has momentum through the whole movie. You never feel stalled. You never feel like. It never feels like I'm redundant. It never feels like we're like expedition dubs. It's just organically forward. It just keeps moving. I love that about that one.
Now, the second caveat that I have with this movie is that there are historical inaccuracies. So if you're going into this expecting like history perfect, you're not going to get that. So forget all that. See this movie and just look at it for the acting. The whole movie is kind of geared up to get these two women, Queen Elizabeth and Mary Queen of Scots, to meet.
Yes,
and that happens, and it's wonderful, and the way they do it is wonderful.
Matt cried during the scene where they met.
Yeah,
it was high key emotional. Seeing those two play off of each, because you see the two in the movie the entire time. Saoirse Ronan's character is going off, and you see her a lot more than you actually see Mary, and so to see them actually play together, you see how well they're both actually acting, and getting to see them interact really kind of like, to me, it's so like, not that I wasn't completely enamored with it anyway, but it that scene specifically sells the movie.
It's the bow on the present. It wraps it together.
Yeah.
Exactly.
To quote the Big Lebowski, it really ties the room together.
It does.
It really does.
That rug.
Oh, but like I loved so much about Saoirse Ronan's performance is that she is a force in nature, but there's one thing about being like determined and empowered, but she's so smart, like smarter than anyone around her, and she plays in most of the time plays in everyone's their preconceptions so much, but also like almost a fault. She does give second chances. She generally is a good person who wants to me and Molly were talking about this, like if any one of these noblemen, including her brother or the Protestant church, would just let her be, she probably could have ruled all of Europe. Like, it could have been that. Like, that's like she had plans for a fair justice system and just like it would have been great. And they just always like nothing she's done is wrong. Like, they just keep trying to make sure because like they just assume as men that they know better than her and she's just doing it wrong. And then like that's the whole gist of it. Which and transversely, Elizabeth does the opposite. She does nothing. She lets the men fail all day long, and she just gets to be queen forever. Like, she's so passive about it. Like, that's talk about like lawn conning everyone. She let them all fail, and she was like, "Oh, I'm just gonna just be what I want to be."
And that's the controversy with history, because like history actually says that Elizabeth did more than the movie portrays.
I've heard that too, but like,
and that Mary Queen of Scots actually there was controversy. Spoilers alert. There's controversy like towards the end where I forget his name, where he becomes her husband.
Yes.
And that was like 2 weeks after her other husband, who's like just crap sleaze.
Yeah.
You know, and I don't think that was inaccurate in the movie as much. He conspired against her, etc. But the whole thing is that we don't really know. Did they conspire to kill her husband? Or did that happen?
That's more okay. I'm with you on that. That is just more better movie.
Yeah.
I mean, you would assume so. Like,
there's a lot of dramatic license,
yes,
which doesn't hurt the film.
No, it's a great film.
If you're a purist, it might.
I feel like most people watching this movie are not there because they're history buffs. They're there because they want to see a good movie. But at the same time, like we were talking before, like the essence of Ready Player One. This is the essence of what happened. Like there is license, but like you still get these portraits of just two strong women just doing different ways of ruling the thing.
Exactly. That's why I love this movie, and that's why it's a total high five.
We were talking earlier about Margot Robbie choosing this role, which I feel like.
Yeah, I mean, she could be the actress in Hollywood that just is gorgeous and walks into any role and is the eye candy. And she specifically chooses roles that says, no, look at my talent. And I think this one is specifically because Mary Queen of Scots is not. She's purposefully ugly in the movie. Yeah. I don't know how accurate that is in real life, but
she's ugly.
No, she gets all scarred up from the pox, and that's true about Queen.
That's what the makeup is.
You were saying Mary, that Queen Elizabeth.
Queen Elizabeth. Yeah. I am sorry, I don't know anything about the history of this.
Queen Elizabeth is personally, and that's the great speech, which is I envy your beauty and your bravery and all that. But yeah, she. I mean, that's the actress. You had the white. You see the pictures of Queen Elizabeth. She has that white powder on her face and the red fake hair and all that kind of stuff. Okay. Yeah, she definitely. That's all from the pox, which is like the plague. Is it smallpox? I'm not really sure what that was, but yeah.
And I think that's not necessarily a bad thing. A lot of actors and actresses that are really noted for roles kind of like downplay their looks.
Well, I'm saying I'm saying she could be making she could be the female equivalent of The Rock. She's super charming. She's very very pretty. She could just be doing all those roles.
She could do Baywatch roles, but she doesn't, and that's really remarkable and commendable.
Like she could be doing what Cameron Diaz did in her earlier career. Cameron Diaz for the first 15, 20 years was just like doing all the pretty roles, doing all the Charlie's Angels, doing all that kind of stuff, and then later on tried to win Oscars, But like she did the Suicide Squad, but ever since then it's been like, I mean, I love Whiskey Tango Foxtrot. I love I, Tonya. Like she's doing incredible roles, so I want to.
And I think there's something interesting because a lot of men actually they don't get called out for doing that. Like Tom Hardy could very much be the Vin Diesel, just walks into roles and just like hulks out in a but he chooses roles that are specifically interesting and that he gets to kind of play a side that he wouldn't get to do if he was anyone else.
He does roles where he's like we just saw last year Joe's number one, which I believe was Dunkirk. I was with people in the movie, they didn't realize it was Tom Hardy the whole week. He doesn't
had no idea.
He doesn't take his mask off to the end. Like there's like he doesn't choose roles on trying to improve.
He's one of my three.
Yeah.
Like my three favorite male actors would be Tom Hardy, Gary Oldman, and Michael Fassbender. So.
Yeah.
Yes.
Those are all fantastic.
But I think, I mean, we were talking specifically Margot Robbie, but I think there's a lot of movies or actors right now that are choosing these smaller roles because they realize with streaming that they can get notoriety off of them. And so they get to choose the roles that they actually want to play and not having to take, the big check instead. They get to do both.
Well, the fact that like artists are doing blockbuster movies now, like the fact that you get like Glenn Close and like Guardians of the Galaxy, like it's almost you want to be like the blockbuster movies which pay the most are picking the most talented people, which is not the truth. Like in the 90s, Arnold did all those roles, and like you had these people who are just action stars. Now they're these big movies which are going to be making you these huge paychecks because the back end are just going to who won the Oscar last year? Would you like to be? Look at Jordan Peele's new This Is Us. He's got like what's her face from the 12 Year a Slave, who's an Oscar playing in a horror movie. Like that's coming out next to the like that would never happen in previous years, but that's what they can do now because that's where the money is.
Yeah.
So now it's always better to get your statue first and then get movie. You see the
much more versatility.
Yes.
Yes.
Because it's expected more now. Like they want like for Joe, you remember the 80s and 90s. You remember like the really terrible like Tango and Cashes, which we love, but they were not acting very well. It was just like, oh, what are we doing? Like now it's like you want to do an action movie or a comic movie, you got to have some acting chops or move aside.
Yeah.
And well, just digress a little bit. Like a lot of those actors that were in those movies back then actually had a lot of talent that was never really exposed. And
because once you got in that lane, they let you leave. You were that person for long, like Stallone for years. That's a cop land. Even though he started with an Oscar nomination, once he got into action, once he got into action, they're like, "Oh, you're doing this forever. You're doing Demolition Man until you die, basically."
And this will just be like a 2-second digress. One thing that I noticed because my wife and I recently watched Grindhouse, which is a fun film.
Sure.
And one of the things that I noticed is during the Death Proof portion, how much Kurt Russell actually like stole the scene and like how he was,
Did you like his crazy when he gets hit the first? I thought that was really fun. Some people think it's terrible, but like, because they love Kurt Russell. But when he finally gets beat the shit out by those girls, he gets shot for the first. He loses his mind. The fact that he's a giant pussy, that's such a funny role, like choice. Like he finally gets hurt and he gets losing it for a guy who's just murdering people left and right. He's just a pussy. That's the way to say it.
Well, what picked it apart, and I don't want to go too long on this because we have so much to talk about, was one scene where he was talking with Rose McGowan.
Yeah, she's great in the movie.
And how he picked apart a long monologue and just really emoted with it, which you didn't see with a lot of the other like essential Quentin Tarantino dialogue. We're not going to go into Grindhouse, but anyways, just going into the acting portion.
All right, so what is your? We gotta keep going. Okay, what is your number? I believe number 7.
My number 7 is Crazy Rich Asians.
Okay,
and I don't even have to spend real long on this. It was just talented cast, original script. I'd never seen anything like it. Such big diversity. Constance Wu, but it was just one of the best romantic comedies I've seen in a long time.
That's what worked. I saw that movie too, and it worked because, like, romantic comedies, there's a formula. You got to fall into it, so you got to find a way to be authentic and different in ways. And this movie felt it. It wasn't just the fact that it was an all Asian cast, and not all, but like a majority of it, and like that, like not the social construct of it. It was also just a well made movie in a different way. It was a story that we've seen, but in a different lens, in a different like a roundabout way of doing that. Like it was enjoyable and it was funny and it was romantic.
Yeah, and I think one of the things that also kind of made it was like there was a lot of really cool supporting characters in it that we don't normally see. We see such stereotypical supporting characters in romantic comedies, and these kind of broke the stereotypes a little bit. At certain points, they fell into the tropes, but other times they did some really original stuff with everybody around the main couple, because the main couple were pretty, I don't want to say static, because Constance Wu killed it in a role that really, the role was not written much. She kind of gave life to this role that could have fallen flat very easily. But
the mechanism of most romantic comedies is that the supporting cast is the comic relief, whatever. They are what you remember the most. When you see like Notting Hill, you remember his roommate. You remember, the couple is just doing romance, but really they're not. They just give you one believable kiss, and the rest is everyone else doing what you enjoy about those movies. They're all comedy, and you're not wrong. They are doing that role, but they're doing it in a different way. It feels like something we've never seen before. It's something we have seen a bunch of times. They're doing the comic relief or the extra characters, but doing it in a new way.
Yeah, and I think part of that is the diversity, because we haven't seen in an all Asian cast, and we got to live through that whole thing of where like they were explaining Asian customs the entire movie, and that so you had to learn as you were kind of going through the movie, and so there were jokes made about like people learning this or like white people or whatever. Like there was something really original there, and I think a lot of it was held in the script or the original material of the book. So I don't know. I loved
things
it.
About I haven't seen this movie, and I do want to see.
You know what it reminds me of a little bit? We're talking about like the being taught. the closest thing I can say was it was like my Big Fat Greek Wedding, where like one guy is out, the fish out of water, learning stuff like a little bit like you as the audience member is learning just a different culture in a fun and interesting way.
But they didn't do the unique part of that is they didn't put in just a stereotypical white character to make you learn.
Yes,
they did it authentically, and I think that's what I liked about
it.
Yeah,
the trailer almost makes it look like Bollywood without the music.
That's 100%. When I saw the trailer, I was like, "That's what I thought." Like, this seems like a Bollywood movie, and that I feel like that gave it.
Not. It's not like that.
No.
Okay.
How would you? I would say it's closer to like the Sex and the City movie meets Big Fat Greek Wedding. That's how I'd put it.
To an extent,
with better acting.
Yeah, with better acting, better directing. The shots in it were incredible.
Is it more a comedy or a drama then? Do you think?
It's a rom com. Like
it's a rom com.
Yeah. All right, yeah.
There's pieces of heart, and like I cried like twice in the movie, which is ridiculous for a rom com. But it had this heart to it that I didn't necessarily think it needed, but it
which was made it better.
It just made it so much better because it did have that.
Cool.
You're talking about the shots. The cinematography was way too good for that movie. Like,
oh yeah,
I didn't look up like who that cinematographer was, but like. Don't elevate that movie, but like that's some talent right there. Like that's some,
and the set design, far and away some of the best set design this year.
Unfortunately, we're missing our cinematography expert tonight, Mike Detterman, who could not make it.
He's too busy. What do you think Mike's doing right now?
He's doing night scenes, isn't he?
I mean, that's what he says he's doing. He's working on a movie. How dare Mike get successful and go start shooting a movie? But how dare he? We have other.
He's got to be here.
I know. So my number 6 is Mary Queen of Scots. So we're gonna go right past her right to Joe's number 6.
Okay. Oh shit.
Yeah, Joe's not ready. I'll kill time while Joe's opening his phone.
Okay.
Again.
My number 6. Matt's favorite film, Fantastic Beasts: The Crimes of Grindelwald.
Seriously, you brought down our podcast. How do you?
We griped about this in an entire for a good portion of an episode.
Yeah, Joe wasn't there. He didn't realize that we just talked shit about it.
Oh, did you?
Oh, we both.
Oh, give the shit, and I'll try to counteract it.
This is my big thing, right?
Okay.
You've seen the whole movie, right?
Yeah.
The very last scene where they all pick sides, right, and they do the big fight there.
Yeah.
That should have been the first 15 minutes of the movie. That's how the movie should have started, because nothing happens or changes or we learn anything that means anything for the whole plot of the farther movie in that first hour and 45 minutes. It's long, it's boring, and I don't like what
It's story.
There's no story. That's the problem. There's no story.
No, there is story. There's total story.
No story.
It's building. Okay, you ever read a drama and the middle of the story kind of drags, but it builds and leads you towards the end? That is the whole thing. Remember, we are dealing with 5 films, and this is just a middle piece. Do you like The Empire Strikes Back?
Do
you like The Empire Strikes Back?
But Joseph, the movie itself is actually worth my time. They gave me 15 minutes of movie so I can learn so the next one will be better. If you're gonna get my money and I'm gonna go to the theater, you can't give me 15 good minutes of a movie that's actually going to be good. And because down the line your next week it's gonna pay off, it still needs to be entertaining.
It's got to stand on its own.
It was totally entertaining.
Oh, it was not.
It was
No. Stop. Now I went into this movie with your previous review. You prepped me for this movie, so I watched the whole Harry Potters and all the other stuff, and I was
have you read the Harry Potter books? Are you a Harry Potter fan?
Well, I read all the books. I saw the movies. Yeah.
Well, okay. You can read all the books and watch all the movies and not come close to being a Harry Potter fan these days.
No,
but I totally understood the movie, and
Joe
I think that's where
Fantastic
people ran
Beasts,
into
the book
problems.
before the movie came out. I've seen it at his house. He owned it before the movie came out.
No, I think that people go into this movie
So I'm the opposite. Molly's a fan. You know me, I've only seen the movies, and I only see it as a film guy. I want to watch that. And I personally said, I know it's a harsh statement, I say in the whole Harry Potter universe, after Prisoner of Azkaban, my second favorite film is the Fantastic Beasts of Where to Find Them. I love that movie. So I had such high expectations. And the first one had so much interesting... this movie was an exposition jump. It was just J.K. Rowling just giving us all this information about all these characters to the point where I'm sitting next to a person who is a Harry Potter fanatic. I'm like, do I need to know who the Lestranges are? I mean, I know there are people, but why am I spending so much time learning backstory on every we're in flashbacks and Newt and her. I mean, yeah, if it comes down the next movie that it's like that, but nothing in that movie is actually happening? It's all this weird exposition. I
counteract.
Exposition.
This is total Siskel and Ebert. This is awesome. No, but I disagree because
I don't like Johnny Depp either in this movie.
No,
no.
Actually, I thought he was better in this than in like the other one.
Well,
he's a terrible actor. Well, okay, he used to do some great stuff.
So I think he's a great actor when he can extend beyond like his character.
I feel like his mind is broken like 10 years ago, and he just can't get back into.
He used to be a great actor. Don't get me wrong, the Pirates of the Caribbean were great, but I don't like him on screen, and I don't like him off screen either. I think they could have picked one. And plus, he needs to be younger.
With him than in like the original, the first one. I thought he was much better in this.
But I mean, I love.
But he was only in it.
I wish Colin Farrell was a little. I think he was great. I wish they just kept him. He was great.
I wish they would have like also. But
yeah. Okay.
That's like
all right. Well, we're going crazy again. Okay, keep going. So tell me why you loved it.
Just for the fact that it was more like a novel. There was a lot of backstory, which you do not like, and Molly does not like.
Okay, so I love backstory. If it makes sense to, how many flashbacks can you have in a movie? It's almost all flashbacks. And the problem with flashback as a person who just likes the mechanics of a film is every time you do a flashback, it doesn't actually change what's happening in the future. You have to use it sparingly. You can only do it so many times because the timeline of what's happening needs to... This movie takes place in like 24 hours because we spend so much time having flashbacks. And, Jarong, you can do it if you're like doing Memento or something, but like... if you're going to do that, then the reveal, the climax better be this crazy fucking reveal. But like, really, we didn't learn anything. We all knew these people were going to choose a side from moment one. So we didn't actually learn anything except their reasoning. But like, their reasoning wasn't like, it was blatant from like my initial viewing of all these people, and I don't know the books. So I'm a person who knows nothing about these characters. I see them talk for 30 seconds in the beginning of the movie. I know who they are then. Nothing they show me in the back has changed what I've thought of. And so, like, I didn't need this backstory. It was not... That's a big problem. None of the backstories were necessary.
How many times have you... Okay, counterpoint.
Okay.
Reading a comic, right? You're a big comic fan. Super big comic fan.
Yes.
Okay. How many times have we seen a comic movie, you and I?
Yes.
Right? Where you're like... Like, this is going on, this is going on, this is going on, this is going on with the character. I'm reaching a point.
You gotta give me an example. I know what you're talking about.
That was the best noise I've ever heard.
Yeah, but I don't know who you're talking about.
Give me like the history of Thanos.
Oh, okay. Well, it's not in the movie though.
No, in the comic. What's the history of Thanos?
It's a
2 seconds.
He's a deviant titan who went mad from...
No, but what happened? Like his love with death and all this other stuff?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I mean, that's his big thing.
So, my point being is, like, after we see, like, Infinity War or something like that, I ask you, what did this mean? What did this mean? What did this mean? What did this mean? And you're like, oh, this is all this. This is all this. This is all this.
No,
and I'm like, I don't understand.
I would say the opposite because, like, the Thanos movie, they don't do any of that stuff in the comic because they're very smart about it. Like, well, we don't need all this extra information. Like, I find that people who are like George Lucas and like J.K. Rowling, who are obsessed with the world they have, they've made this giant world and they want to stuff it all in there. They did the opposite with Thanos. Like, hey, there's all this backstory about death and all this stuff. Fuck it. Let's just do the concept. The guy who thinks he is the ultimate will, and they've cut that out. They've cut that out. It's just like his whole point was like, I want to save the universe by killing half of it. It's a very simple thing.
So you like simplicity.
Yes,
and there was simple script.
There was none
like
of
man killing evil killing good without like the background of like all the characters.
I don't need that. I'm saying, Joe, I need a story that moves and it makes sense.
It did make sense, and that's my point.
I mean, no, it didn't.
It totally did. It totally did.
I didn't need her backstory. I didn't. Okay, I'm not going to spend too much time. But like,
no. This is an awesome conversation.
Molly,
we're going to cut this off. We're going to cut this off.
Okay, so here's my problem with the story, and I think it kind of takes both of your opinions and kind of meshes them right in the middle. I didn't like the story she told.
Yeah.
Matt's got a point. We didn't need all of that, but you've got a point but all of it happened. Like it's part of what happened and it's part of the interesting stuff. You're right. You're both right, but I wanted a different story. I wanted more of Dumbledore and Grindelwald back when they were younger. I wanted all of that, and instead I got this kind of disjointed idea of like, oh, this next movie is going to be great. And if you're going to make the sequel that continues through, it's got to sell on its own, but... Ultimately, they didn't do anything in that movie that they needed to do. I wanted a whole movie on Zoe Kravitz, don't get me wrong, but I don't think it had to be in flashbacks. I think it got...
Yes, okay, yeah.
It could have been just about Zoe Kravitz. Or her character. I don't remember what her character is because it's Zoe Kravitz.
Those characters are actually interesting, but like we got like this weird take on them. Like I didn't need this backstory of her weird...
Because I think I wanted to see what I saw, but I think there was a more entertaining and better way to do it.
See, and I saw something that I think you guys didn't see.
Okay.
And so agree to disagree.
Yeah, you're sure. Yeah.
There's reasons to like the movie. I'm not saying the movie's completely unlikable.
It's visually fine.
Those dragons at the end were killer.
I like that character. Also, like the characters I enjoyed so much from the first one, I feel like they've super neglected. Like the main character, Newt, whatever his name is, Commander. He takes a backseat to the whole movie. I mean, he's just in the background, and I really didn't like the one human, and like I don't like the fact that because she loves him, she she kind of roofies him, and we act like that. Like we gender swap those two people. People are picketing that movie, like that. This person is just basically getting roofied nonstop for like. And,
well, that's why she joins the dark side.
Yeah, but I mean, like it's such a weird like thing. Like,
oh, do you mean Queenie?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like a character who I loved in the first movie a lot becomes a weird villain, and like
I didn't like that part either.
Yeah.
So I'll concede that.
No, either way, I would say like I just didn't enjoy the story. She's wrong. I didn't enjoy the story. I just thought it was boring.
Should we move on to me?
Yeah. That was it.
I thought for a second I was gonna have to like someone was gonna take one of the wine bottles and just like smack it on the wall. We were gonna have some shivving going on.
Oh, that'd be fun.
A movie we can all agree on. RBG, about Ruth Bader Ginsburg. It's the documentary about it. My housemates are just sitting there waving their arms in agreement with me.
You see it, Joey?
No.
I saw it. It's okay.
It's completely biased. It's just telling a wonderful story about a wonderful human. But what I like about the documentary is it kind of just shows you like how... yes, Ruth Bader Ginsburg is old and she basically is ruling women's rights campaigns right now, but she keeps up with time. She's got a smartphone. She knows the memes. She can keep up with the dialogue and the conversation of young people. And so by doing that, by showing, the world that if as you get older, if you start listening to what the young people say, you can communicate to them whatever you want to communicate if you can meet them on their level. She just happens to be bringing a wonderful message of women's rights and equality, but she does it in a way that meets basically my generation and Generation Z, specifically the one that's a little bit younger than me, and meets them at their level to give them what they need. So this dissent, she plays into everything that's said about her, and I liked that. I liked getting to see kind of how much she really enjoys the fact that she's reaching out to young people, and she gets to see young people living the life she didn't get to live.
I saw the documentary. I liked it a lot. I like what you're saying about it a lot. Mm-hmm. As the function of a documentary.
No, terrible.
Yes. Like we're talking about how the film is made. This is almost propaganda, and it's not made very well.
It is propaganda.
Yeah, okay.
It is selling you on who RBG is.
It's so like, and I feel like we're going to talk about another movie later where you can talk a little more with the person.
Yeah.
It didn't need to work so hard. Like, it tried so hard to sell you on, like, someone who's, like, even if, like, half of the stuff is completely true in there, they didn't need to work so hard to sell you. She's just an amazing woman.
Yeah.
You should have given more of an unbiased, like, that's an unbiased, because, like, it's not like there's, like, a political stance here. It just gave it a clinical, surgical view of it. Like, this is just person. And I like what's so great about her is, which I hope all Supreme Court justices are like, but I doubt it is. Like, if you're going to rule on the law of the land, you cannot be set in any time frame. She just keeps moving because not also like not to get her message across, because like she realizes she serves a function. And if any one of these judges become stagnant, like even if you were like if they got stagnant in the 90s, like their rulings would be wrong, because like law, with just like anything else, is fluid. Our morality changes by the minute in America. Like we have a code in essence, but like it changes all the time.
Yeah. And
the fact that she's vibrant in engaging in everyone is what's great about the movie.
Yeah.
But the actual, I would say, I saw it in my list because like I just such a poor, like for such a great topic, such a poorly made documentary.
It was, and I'm just a huge RBG fan, so like that's exactly why it probably made it on my list, because I recognize that it was terrible. They did do something to kind of give you a well-rounded view of her. She made some comments about Trump that got a lot of people were like, you can't make those comments. You're on the Supreme Court. They did talk about that, and they talked negatively. They took a lot of kind of comments that of people who may have had respect for her and that said she shouldn't have done that. They also, one of the big parts of the movie was her friendship with Justice Scalia, and I really liked how much it kind of it delved into that, because I didn't know that. Like, it's such an important message right now, is like Scalia was the absolute complete opposite of her in all of his rulings, and then she's just this insanely left wing ideals of politics, and the two of them were best friends. They went to the opera together, and I liked getting to see kind of that, because we didn't necessarily know that about her. So as terrible as it was, I think it also chose some interesting parts to tell about her. Also, we got an entire 2 scenes on just the collar she wears for what decisions.
Yeah. You're talking about her friendship there.
Yeah.
I love so much because politics right now are so divisive. It's like you're either in or you're out, and you have to almost hate your opposition. The fact that she's like, I disagree with you, but we can be friends. It's we have this weird time where either if you talk about politics, we don't disagree, we can't not be friends, or you do the opposite. We don't talk politics because then we can. But once there's this thing where we have to be all or nothing now, and she's someone who's the highest court of the land. It's like, no, we can still. We're all humans. We can disagree. We can have debates. Mm-hmm. The public discourse in America is pretty terrible right now. It's just shouting and yelling or hiding, and these are two people at the height of it, just saying, "Oh no, we disagree," but we're still good people, your decision doesn't define make you as a person.
Well, I think with politics, it's easy to for a person to just pick a side. Either I'm left wing or I'm right wing.
But don't you feel like people picked sides before, but didn't hate?
No,
Yeah.
that's what I'm saying.
And that was one of the most uplifting things about her. Someone who was the voice of the left is becoming but I still love everyone on the right. It feels nowadays you have to hate the other side.
Yeah.
And she's like, no, I love the other side, and I want to explain to them why you should agree with me. I'm going to explain to you why what I think is better, but if you disagree, but I'll keep telling you, I'm never going to hate you. I'm never going to leave you behind. I'm never going to cut you out. I'm just going to keep telling you what I believe until you come over to my side.
And I think with the politics on that, watching Scalia have this wonderful relationship with Ruth Bader Ginsburg, and then we see what happens to his seat on the Supreme Court after he's gone. I think he would have been very, very... The little bit he's in this documentary, he'd have been very upset that everyone was so divisive that they couldn't just, let that appointment go the way it could have gone, or that it had to be, or that it went to the person it went to. I think he would have much more appreciated seeing a friendship, seeing someone who could just respect everybody else on that court. I think that speaks to a lot of just the movie was trying to get at was, look at this person who everyone is idolizing, all of these young people are looking up to. Look at what she's doing, and remember that what she's doing is the way things should be most of the time.
For our listeners, who is RBG and what does she do?
Joseph, thank you.
Ruth Bader Ginsburg is on the Supreme Court. She's a justice there, and she basically back in the 70s, which we'll talk a little bit. I purposefully kind of left out who she is.
Yeah, because there's another movie.
There's another movie about her that may or may not be up on my list, but she's a Supreme Court, and so her landmark decisions have all been on women's rights.
Okay.
So we'll get into who she is a little bit later.
Okay. Cool. So that was your number 6?